What it do? Yo, yo. Yo. We got action. Okay, cool. Let's go. Yo. All right, give me a minute. We're gonna get started in a minute. Welcome to Faith After Five. Y'all like that little music I added? Does anybody like the music I added? Leave it in the comments if you like the music. I think it's a dope little vibe to go with this Bible study thing. But give me 1 second and we're gonna get to it. Like we always do around this time. Oh man. Hold on. All right, what up, what up, everybody? Welcome to Faith After Five Bible Study. You know what it is, you know who it is, your boy KJ. And today, let me cut this music out. Today we're going to be going over numbers. So if you read your Bible like I asked you to do last week, you have already read the book of Numbers. And I think the book of Numbers has about 36 chapters in it, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, at least 26 that I know of. All right. And I'm going to be going over a few chapters, hitting a few key points today. But before I get started, as always, hold on, let me take this input out my ear. As always, you already know how it goes. We're going to be reading this with straight hermeneutics. And when I say hermeneutics, I mean literal, grammatical, historical hermeneutics, reading the Bible from front to back as it goes. And if it says see spot run, that's how we're reading this book. We're going to see spot run. So we don't have to put our thoughts and our things into this, our concepts, our theologies into the Bible, our truths into the Bible. We let the Bible put its truth into us. All right. We let God word do his thing. And we know that God is sovereign. God is omnipotent. God is present. So God has the first, last, and final say so in everything when we read this book. All right. So as we go over the book of Numbers today, we're going to be hitting on a key thing. We're going to be hitting on what it means to be lost in the wilderness, or what God means when he keeps pushing you in the wilderness. And I will be, again, I know I said we're not supposed to do this, but I will be hitting on Jesus Christ, even though we have not earned Jesus Christ. We don't know who Jesus Christ is because we're still in the Old Testament. I'll be pointing out some things for some notes about Jesus Christ as we go through this book. But whatever we use, normally is what we've already read. So we read Genesis, we've read Exodus, we've read um, the book of Job, we read Deuteronomy, and we've read Leviticus. All right. And we know that's not kind of in order and biblical order, but it's in like chronological order. So now we're going into Numbers, which is the book between Leviticus and Deuteronomy. And in this book, we're going to speak about and hit on some key points about standing alone, basically in the wilderness. And are we truly lonely or being separated for a purpose? Are we being separated from other entities, other nations, and things of this world, right? That's what we're kind of hitting on. But this is Israel being separated. But I want to show you how it applies to us in today's time, right? So the book is written to Israel. It's about Israel, the nation of Israel, the things that are going on that God is doing for the nation of Israel. But can it apply to what we do today? Can it apply to how we live our lives today? Absolutely, 100, 1,000%, however much percent you want to give it. All right, so some of us think that the wilderness means that God has left us, right? We've all had that quiet time. We've all had those times where we are waiting for God to say something. We're waiting on the word from God. We're waiting to hear from God. And sometimes, as we know, God is just saying, be still, chill. I got this. I got you. You're not lonely. I just don't have nothing for you right now. Or I just might be putting you through a season where I just need you to sit and be still. All right. But what if the wilderness is the way God is actually shaping us? All right. That's when he gets to shape us the most, right? Season. Some people call it the season of loneliness or the season of being still or however. And sometimes God puts us through the refinery. He sets us down so we can communicate with him. We can build a relationship with him so we can have intimacy with God, get to know God, let our hearts be regenerated so God can do his thing with us. So Numbers just isn't about counting people. It's about God's developing people. Tonight we're going to talk about key things about what happened when you're delivered but not developed, called but not consistent, moving but not trusting. All right. So let's walk through how God deals with his people, Israel, in the wilderness, and us, obviously. Because if we're being honest, we've all had a season of Numbers. All right. So we're going to be starting off in Numbers 1. I'm going to read verses 2 through 5, and then I'm going to read verses 16 through 18, and I'm going to hit on the key points about those verses. All right. So Numbers 1-2. Take ye some of all the congregation of the children of Israel, right? So he's telling this to Moses, right? God is talking to Moses. After their families, by the house of their fathers, with the numbers by their names, every male by their poles. From 20 years old and upward, all that are able to go forth to war in Israel, thou and Aaron shall number them by their armies, and with you shall there be a man of every tribe, every one head of the house of his fathers. And these are the name of the men that shall stand with you in the tribe of Reuben, Eleazar, the son of Shador. And then it goes on to name all the other tribes, all the other leaders, all the other sons. All right. These were the renowned of the congregation. So Numbers 1:16. These are the renowned of the congregation, princes of the tribes, their fathers, heads of the thousands in Israel. And Moses and Aaron took these men which were expressed by their names, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the numbers of their names, from 20 years old and upward by their polls. And the Lord commanded Moses, so he numbered them all in the wilderness of Sinai. And I know I said I was going to read to 18, but I read to 19. All right. So God was counting the people. Why was God having Moses to count the people? Because God wanted to set order. God is a God of order. He's not a God of chaos. So everything that he does is going to be structured. Everything that he's going to be doing to be put together, right? He's starting a plan. He's giving Moses a plan of how he wants things, right? So he can have structure, and the Israelites can have structure. All right. He didn't want to just bring them out of Egypt. He started structuring them for where they were going and the challenges that lie ahead of them, right? So they're going into this land. They're going into the land of milk and honey, right? They're going into this promised land that he's promised that he's going to give. He's promised all the way back in Abraham days in Genesis that he's going to take his people and they're going to go into this promised land, right? So in order for him to get them into this promised land, he's going to have to make sure that they're structured, they're organized, and they're disciplined, because they have all these other nations around them that are doing other things, that are worshiping other gods, that are living pagan lifestyles, right? So this order is preparation for a purpose. They talk about discipline with faith, fitness, and life structure. So we can apply this, right? Making sure we have structure, making sure we have a plan, making sure we have everything we do, not only in our work life, but our home life and our fitness life and all aspects of life. So that's how we can kind of relate it to us today. All right. If your life has no order, it's hard to walk in God's purpose. We already know that, because from the simple thing to making sure you wake up to say a prayer, go to bed in prayer, brushing teeth, all that good stuff, right? So God had them take the census by the leader of the tribes and their families. God establishes order, structure, and identity among his people. God knows his people individually and collectively, so he wants to make sure that every tribe has order, right? Every tribe has what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word right now, but like a head of the household all the way down. Order is not restriction, it's preparation for purpose. How does God bring order in our lives today? That's what you need to think about. I want you to write that down. How does God bring order in your lives today? Write that down, and then we'll discuss that probably when we do a survey. I think I want to do a survey in like 2 weeks. We'll see. So God begins by organizing his people through census, showing that he values both individual identity and collective structure. This isn't an administrative, but it's spiritual as well. Our order reflects purpose. God wasn't just counting people, he was preparing the army and the nation. And our lives, structure, spiritual, mentally, physically, is often a foundation of growth in our calling. This order can delay our destiny. This order can delay our purpose, or it can take us down the path where we didn't want to have to go. So God can get us in order. All right. And if you ever look back on your life and be like, man, I had a decision to make. I could have went this way, or I could have went that way, and you went that way when you should have went this way. In this way, you probably would have had a little more structure and order, and you wouldn't have had to go through all the things that was in the other path. All right. Now I'm going to skip to Numbers chapter 9. Verse 17. So again, hopefully you already read this book in the Bible. If not, then you need to get to reading. All right. Numbers 9:17. And when the cloud was taken upon the tabernacle. Now, hold on. Let me go up a little bit, because I need you to understand what the cloud is. So I'm going to go to Numbers 9:15, because I want you to understand who's the cloud, who's the fire. And on the day of the tabernacle was reared up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, namely the tent of the testimony. And at evening there was upon the tabernacle, as it were, the appearance of fire until the morning. So this is God. So during the daytime, he's a cloud, right? When they're traveling with the tabernacle. So they build a tabernacle, a place for God to dwell, to be with them. As they're traveling through all these countries to get to the promised land, he's as same way he did when he took them out of Egypt. He's traveling with them, cloud by day, fire by night. So it was always the cloud covered it by day, and the appearance of fire by night. And when the cloud was taken up from the tabernacle, then after the children of Israel journeyed, and in the place where the cloud abode, the children of Israel pitched their tents. So God is leading. So wherever he takes them and wherever they stop at, that's where they pitch their tents. And at the commandment of the Lord, the children of Israel journeyed, and at the commandment of the Lord, they pitched. And as long as the cloud abode upon the tabernacle, they rested in their tents. And when the cloud carried long upon the tabernacle many days. Then the children of Israel kept the charge of the Lord, and they journeyed not. So basically, when God moved, Israel moved. When He moved, they moved. All right. So ask yourself: are we moving on God's timing? Are we trusting God during our waiting season? Are we being obedient when He's present? Are we feeling His presence? Have we let Him abode in us the way He aboded over Israel? Right. Israel moved when the cloud, God's presence moved. These teachings were to be, excuse me. These teachings were to be dependent on God's timing and not our own urgency, not human urgency, but God's timing, right? So sometimes God leads by movement, sometimes He leads by stillness, all right? So when it was time for them to move, He went ahead. When it was time for them to rest, He stopped. There they rested. The discipline is learning how to follow both. Many mistakes happen when we often move ahead of God's timing or when we lag behind God's timing. So if you've ever, so this portion of it, right? If you've ever had a moment in time where you felt something in your gut, all right, you had this intuition about something to say, hey, you need to go do this or you need to go do that. That's usually, right, because we don't have the external uh, vision of God. We have an internal in our lifetime vision of God. So this is like a foreshadow of what God was going to do for us when He regenerated our hearts. So we have the internal presence of God with the Holy Spirit. So when you ever have that intuition to kind of move, to do something or to not do something, that's usually the Holy Spirit like poking you, like, hey, you need to go do this, or hey, you need to chill out. You don't need to go over there. That's a bad place for you. All right. It's there to help you make decisions, to keep you away from principalities and spiritual things that you don't get to see. Right. So with the Israelites, they had the physical form of God. They had the external form of God traveling with them, taking them where they needed to go to make sure they're where they needed to be at certain times and where they needed to chill at during certain times. All right. All right. Now on the not Leviticus, Numbers 11. So, I keep saying Leviticus, dang it. Uh, Numbers 11:3, and he called the name of the place Tabar because of the fire of the Lord burned among them. And it was a mixed multitude that was among them, fell a lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? We remembered the fish, which we had in Egypt freely, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our souls is dried away. There is nothing at all besides manna before our eyes. So as they're traveling, right? So they get a little backstory for this. As they're traveling, of course, they're in the wilderness. They're going through all these places. But you got to remember, they were in Egypt as slaves, but they were still getting fed. They were still getting food. They were still getting all these things. But God wanted to separate them again because the Egyptian was practicing pagan worship, but also along. So when we talk about the mixed multitude, also along the way, some of the people of Egypt seen what was going on, right? They seen that they had the real God with them, right? Because you know all the plagues and all the stuff that Moses had down in Egypt, right? The plagues that God sent through Moses and all that stuff. So some of the people that were Egyptian and some of the other nation people start tarrying along, right? Start traveling along with the children of Israel because they seen the goodness of God, right? And they wanted to be a part of that. They were like, oh wow, I want to be a part of that. I want to. They got LeBron on their team. They got Michael Jordan on their team. I want to be a part of that, right? So they started tearing along, but they still didn't have the heart that God wanted them to have. If you remember in Deuteronomy, God said that He would circumcise the heart. So they still didn't have their heart. The Egyptians still had, the ways that they had. So now you have the Egyptian people and the other people that's outside of the nation of Israel, basically putting thoughts in their head like, hey, we had food, we had this, we had that, and now all we got is this manna bread. Can we get some fish? Can we get some turkey? Can we get some duck? Can we get something? And so now everybody's complaining, right? And who has to deal with these complaints? Moses. You know what I'm saying? Moses and Aaron, but basically Moses. All right. So the people began to complain and crave their past in Egypt, forgetting the bondage that they were delivered from. Complaining distorts the memory and dishonors God's provision. Gratitude, on the other hand, keeps us grounded in truth. So as you can tell in Deuteronomy and Leviticus and Exodus, these people complained, 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 complained. That's all they did. They would be right for a while with God, and then they would complain about God. And then they would be right for a while with God, and then they would complain. Well, not about God, but their situation and to Moses. So it reveals how quickly people can trade freedom for familiarity. I can't even say that word. For things that are familiar. All right. And we see it all the time. We see people get into the place of comfortability and they want to go back to that place of comfortability. That's how we have a lot of bad relationships, right? We have a lot of bad relationships because people get with somebody they're comfortable with, and no matter whether it's good or bad, and mostly bad all the time, when they're going back, they want to be in that place where they're comfortable. So they'll go back to a situation. They'll go back to a situation where they feel comfortable, even though it's a bad situation. All right. All right. So Numbers 11:16. And the Lord said unto Moses, gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, who thou knowest to be elders of the people, and officers over them, and bring them upon the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with thee. And I will come down and talk with thee there, and I will take of the spirit which is upon thee, and I will put it upon them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with thee, that thou bear it not thyself alone. And say thou unto the people, sanctify yourself against tomorrow, and ye shall eat flesh, for ye shall have wept in the ears of the Lord, saying, who shall give us flesh to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt, therefore the Lord will give you flesh, and ye shall eat it. And ye shall eat 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but even the whole month, until it come out of your nostrils, and it will be loathsome to you, because ye have despised the Lord, which is among you, and ye have wept before him, saying, why came we forth out of Egypt? So not only has Moses about had it, but now God is about had it. And he's saying, oh, y'all want some fish? Y'all want some turkey? Y'all want some duck? I'm gonna give you all you can eat and more. You're gonna be eating so much, you're gonna be disgusted. You're gonna feel the same disgust with eating this food as I feel with y'all complaining. So was God being petty? A little bit. But he had to let them know, like, I have done all these things for you. I've shown you all these signs and wonders. I've taken you out of captivity. I've given you bread. I've given you water. I've given you uh, fire when it's cold. I've given you cloud to keep you, cool when it's warm. And now you're still complaining about every single thing. And now Moses about had it, so he don't went and asked, could he share some of this burden with some of the elders? And God is saying, yeah, go ahead and get them. I'm gonna share some of this burden with them, and they're gonna feel it. They're gonna feel it. So Moses couldn't carry the leadership alone, so God distributed the burden. Moses was overwhelmed, and God responded with by distributing leadership among the elders. This shows that God never intended leaders to carry everything alone, right? So we're not meant, and nobody has ever been meant to carry the burden alone, right? The only person that had to carry the burden of the world alone was Jesus Christ, right? So here we go with the timeout. The only person that had to carry the burden alone was Jesus Christ, and we know why, and that was God in human form. So we will never be able to do that ourselves, but God, in the human form, as was able to do that. So we won't be able to do it. So true leadership includes delegation, trust, and shared responsibility. Isolation in leadership often leads to burnout. So Moses was about tired, right? You got to think that some years have done passed since they came up out of Egypt. And over the years, all they did was complain, complain, complain. So, and Deuteronomy, what was their issue? Their hearts. And what did God tell them to fix? Their hearts. And what did God promise that he would fix? Their hearts. All right, 3 for 3. So let's go. All right. Now to number 12. Now I'm going to read most of number 12, right? Because this is a very interesting story, right? This story is about not just Moses, but this story is about Moses, his brother, and his sister. All right. So and Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman who he had married, for he had married the Ethiopian woman. And they said, hath the Lord indeed spoke only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it. Now the man Moses was very meek, so he was a very chill guy, very nonchalant. You know, even though everybody was getting on his nerves, he still had it cool by himself. All right. Above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. Excuse me. And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. Now, if you're a parent and you call all three of your kids, you know something about to happen. All right. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, that I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision. I will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house. With him I have spoke mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not into dark speeches, but in the multitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And the anger of the Lord was kindled against him, and he departed. And the cloud departed from the tabernacle. Excuse me. A little parch. 1 second. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. Let her not be as one dead, of whom flesh is half consumed, when he cometh out of his mother's womb. And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, hear her now, O God, I beseech thee. And the Lord said unto Moses, if her father had all but spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that, let her be received again. And Miriam was shut out from the camp for 7 days, and the people journeyed not till Miriam was brought in again. And afterward, the people removed from Hazeroth and pitched in the wilderness of Paran. So basically, Moses' brother and sister got jealous. They was a little envious of Moses because Moses was able to talk to God one-on-one. He was commanding the whole thing. He was in charge, and everybody wants to be in charge. Even though nobody wanted to share the burden that Moses had to go through, all the things that Moses had to deal with, they wanted to be in charge. And God had to let them know, like, this ain't just some servant. This just ain't some prophet. This Moses is my guy. Like, he's with me. I talked to him face to face. So who are you to speak against somebody that is my guy? So they had to learn a lesson. And Marion had to bear the brunt of that lesson. So they sent her out to camp for 7 days while she was leopard, and then she healed up, and then they let her come back. All right. So the lesson for that, watch your mouth. Keep your hands on your head. All right. So Numbers 13. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Send down men that they may search to the land of Canaan, which I have given to the children of Israel, and every tribe of their fathers shall ye send a man, every one a ruler among them. And Moses, by the commandment of the Lord, sent out them from the wilderness of Paran, and all these men were heard into were heads of the children of Israel. And they were by names of the tribe of Reuben, Shammah the son of Zakur, the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat the son of Hori, the tribe of Judah, Caleb the son of Jephun, the tribe of Issachar, Egil the son of Joseph, and then it goes on and on and on. And I'm gonna skip down to verse 26. All right. So make sure you read all that for yourself, excuse me. So Numbers 13:26. And then went up from and came to Moses. And I apologize. Hold on, let me say something. I apologize if I keep saying Leviticus. That's one of my favorite books in the Bible so far. But I need to say Numbers. So if I have been saying Leviticus, I do apologize. And then went up and came Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel unto the wilderness of Paran and Kadesh, and brought back the word unto them and unto all of the congregation, and shewed them the fruit of the land. And they told them and said, We came into the land where thou sendest us, and surely it flowed with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Nevertheless, the people were strong and dwelled in the land and in the cities and walled and were very great. And moreover, we saw the children of the Anaks. So the children of Anaks were the Amalekites. The word stands for long neck. So these people are tall. They're like giants, right? So remember the giants back in the Old Testament. So these people are tall like giants. They're taller, especially than the children of Israel. And the Amalekites dwelled in the land of the south of the Hittites, and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwelled in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwelled by the sea and by the coast of the Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, Let us go up at once and possess it, and we were all able to overcome them. But the men that went up against them said, We be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we are, or than we. So Caleb was a dog. And honestly, the word Caleb means dog. So it's kind of crazy. But Caleb was a dog, and Caleb was ready to fight. Now, Caleb had a unique story, right? Because Caleb was not an original Israelite. He was not an original Hebrew. Now, how did he get into it? Whether it was by marriage or kinsmanship, I don't know, right? But the facts that I can give you about Caleb, that he was a Kenizzite. So he was from, all right, when we talk about Jacob and Esau, he was from the Edomites, which was Esau's tribe, right? So he was from that side. So how did he get converted over into the Israelites? It doesn't really say, right? But we know that he was the son, right? Or the sonship or the kinsmanship, but it says son. So we know he was grafted in to the tribe of Judah, right? And we know that the scepter shall not depart. What tribe? The tribe of Judah. All right. So he was a foreigner. He converted. He was grafted into Israel. And Caleb stood out because he was not born into it, but he chose it. So he chose to be faithful for God. He had a heart for God, right? And God saw favor in Caleb. So however he was grafted in, it was because of God seeing favor in Caleb, all right? So this lets you know that your background doesn't limit your calling. And this also is kind of like a first foreshadowing of how Gentiles were grafted into with the Jews or with the Israelites, all right? So, and like I said, this was important because he was grafted into the tribe of Judah. And as we know in Genesis 49:10, it says that the scepter shall not depart Judah, nor the rulers of the staff from between his feet until he whom shall it become or belongs to, right? And the obedience of all his nations shall be his. And when we talk about the scepter, we should know what we're talking about, right? The kingdom, the king that comes to reign, the kingdom that will reign forever and ever, Jesus Christ, right? So That's an important story. I wanted to hit on Caleb because it's very important to see once we start doing the lineage of Jesus Christ. It's very unique to see how uh, the genealogy went, right, and how everything kind of like came together, how God's plan came together. All right. So Numbers 14. Numbers 14:5. Then Moses and Aaron fell upon their faces before all the assembly of the congregation and the children of Israel. And Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, which were there, them had searched the land, rent their clothes, and they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we had passed through to search is exceedingly good land. If the Lord delighted in us, then he will bring us into the land, and he will give it to us, and the land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for their bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us, so fear them not. So Caleb and Joshua, whose book we'll be reading next, I believe, ready to go. They TTG. They train to go. They ready to get his things off. All right. But all the children of Israel are a little timid. They're a little scared. They're a little fearful. And Caleb and Joshua, they're not having it. They say, look, the Lord is going to give us this land. The Lord commanded us. Why we have fear? God is not a God of fear. Why are we being fearful when God done brought us through all these things, right? So the fear was an exaggerated obstacle, but our faith magnifies God. All right. So Caleb and Joshua trusted God despite the fearful report of the other spies. Faith sees God as a bigger than the obstacles, while fear magnifies the obstacles over God, which goes into this. We are not supposed to worry. Worrying is also kind of like a sin. I'm gonna just say it's a sin. Worrying is a sin. For if God is with us, who can be against us? All right. And I'm going all off topic, all off the numbers right now, but I just want to show you that we are not supposed to worry. This chapter is showing us that we're not supposed to worry. We have God with us. Who can be against us? You shouldn't worry. But we know we're human, right? Just like the Israelites were human. So they were worried about these giants, about these long neck people. But even though God had done showed them all these signs and wonders, and God might be done brought you through some tough times, and then you'll run into another situation, and instead of you trusting God, guess what you'll do again? You'll start worrying. You'll start worrying about the obstacles in front of you instead of keeping your faith in God. This moment shows that faith is often a minority stance, but it's one that aligns us with God's promise. All right. So make sure you stay in alignment. All right. Jumping down to verse 22. Because all these men which have seen my glory, now this is God talking, and my miracles which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now these 10 times, and have not hearkened to my voice, surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoke me see it. But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him, and he hath followed me fully, him I will bring into the land wherein I went, and his seed shall possess it. So now God is pissed. He's pissed, right? They keep pissing him off. They keep making God upset. Like I said, he keeps showing all these signs and wonders, and they just keep going against his will and his word. Crazy, but I mean, that's what we do too. Now the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwell in the valley. Tomorrow turn you and get into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. All right. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, how long shall I bear with these evil congregations which murmur against me? And I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, which they murmur against me. Say unto them, as truly as I live, saith the Lord, and ye speak in my ears, so will I do to you. Your carcass shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you, according to the whole number of the 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me. Doubtless ye shall not come into the land concerning which I have swore to make you dwell in therein. Save Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun. But your little ones, which you said shall be prey. So the parents and the kids got to go. Then I will bring, and they shall know the land which ye have despised. But as far as you, your carcass, they shall fall into the wilderness, and your children shall wander in the wilderness for 40 years, and bear your whoredoms until your carcass be wasted in the wilderness. And after the number of the days in which ye search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise. I, the Lord, have said, I, the Lord, will surely do until this evil congregation that are gathered against me in the wilderness, they shall be consumed, and there they shall die. So he's telling the children of Israel, look, I've tried to give you this land. I've been trying to show y'all what I've been doing. But you ungrateful so-and-sos, you will not get into this land. You're going to die here in this wilderness, you know. And but your children might be able to see it, but they're going to be like 40 years old, 46, 50 years old, and they won't have long to tarry in the land, but their children will be able to inherit the land. So yeah. So you might want to hearken to God's voice. So because of their persistent doubt, that generation was denied entry to the promised land. This highlights our unbelief has real consequences, right? So God promised to remain true, but participation requires trust and obedience. Delay and loss can come as a lack of faith. All right. All right. All right, I'm about to hit these last two topics and then we're going to wrap it up. So let's go to Numbers 20 and 8. Let's see. All right, 27. And the Lord's Numbers 20 and 11. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, take that rod and gather thou assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak unto the rock before thy eyes, and it shall give forth water. And thou shalt bring forth them water out of the rock. So shalt, so shalt give that congregation their beast drink. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded. And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation before the rock, and he said unto them, hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch water out of the rock? And Moses lifted up his hand, and with the rod he smote the rock twice, and the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beast also. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron and said, because ye believe me not to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore ye shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. This is the water of Meribah, because the children of Israel strove with the land, and he was sanctified in them. So basically, Moses is at the point, he's at his boiling point. He's had enough. He's at his breaking point. He's 38 hot. He's tired of these children complaining. He's tired of these people complaining. He done had to wait to let them die in the wilderness and all kind of stuff. They still trying to get them in there. And now they're complaining because they didn't have no water, even though God has always provided for them. So he done got so pissed that he hit the rock instead of just waving the rod and letting the water come out like God. So God is basically like, you're going to show out in front of your little friends. You're not about to do me like that in front of your little friends. So this is what's going to happen. And then he had to deal with the punishment. So even when the people of Israel fell, God still provided water from the rock. This shows that God's provision is rooted in his character, not our perfection. Right? However, provision does not always equal approve. God can sustain you by also correcting you. And that's a huge thing, right? God can sustain you. God will sustain you. If you're one of God's children, he will sustain you. But that doesn't mean that he won't correct you. That don't mean that he won't put you through the fire. Right? It's when you ever been in a relationship and somebody tell you like, oh, you ain't got to worry about when I'm fussing. It's when I'm quiet that you need to be. Well, the same thing goes for God. If if you're in a season of correction and you're going through something, that is God trying to correct you, trying to get you to come back to Him. Now, if you don't go through nothing, and you know you're out there acting a fool, and you don't have to deal with no consequences for acting a fool, hey man, the alternative might not be so good. So hopefully, if you've been out there sinning, you've been acting a fool, you've been out there acting like a knucklehead, hopefully God put you through it. That is God's way of showing you that He still loves you and He wants to correct you, and He's still gonna provide for you during them times. All right, you still survive. Everybody said, "What didn't kill me made me stronger." Well, what didn't kill you should have brought you closer to God. Right? Whatever you went through should have brought you closer to God. That is the purpose. He's correcting while also providing provision. All right, last chapter. We're gonna wrap this up. This thing don't want to act right now. There we go. All right. So Numbers 23. Oh man, excuse me. 23 and 16. And the Lord met Balaam and put word in his mouth and said, go again unto Balak and say thus. And when he came to him, behold, he stood by his burnt offering, and the princes of Moab with him. And when Balak said unto him, why hath the Lord spoken? So Balak is talking to Balaam. He's asking, what did the Lord tell you? And he took up his parable and said, rise up, Balak, and hear, hearken unto me, thou son of Zippor. God is not a man that he should lie, neither the son of man that he should repent. Hath he said, and shall he not do it? Or hath he spoken, and he shall not make it good? Behold, I have received commandment to bless, and he hath blessed, and I cannot reserve it. So, a little backstory. Balak wants to destroy the nation of Israel. All right, he wants to destroy the Jews. He's trying to team up with Balaam to help him get rid of the Jews. But God went into Balaam and said, look, you're going to say this to Balak, and you ain't going to have no other choice because I control you. Like, I'm going to control what you say. So instead of Balak getting from, now he knew who God was. Excuse me. He knew who God was, and he was scared of God, but he was hoping that Balaam would curse the nation of Israel. But instead, he blessed them, saying, nope, you can't mess with them. You cannot mess with them. Why can't you mess with them? I can't. God is telling me that you can't mess with them. God is using my mouth right now. He's telling me you can't mess with them. And I'm not going against God. So if you want to curse them, you go curse them by yourself. But don't ask me to help you because I can't help you. All right. So when God's word is final and trustworthy, God does not lie or change his mind like humans. His words is final and dependable. This gives believers the firm foundation that we can fully trust in God. Even when the circumstances are uncertain, his consistency is our security. All right. So this was Numbers. So in Numbers, we talked about the wilderness. We talked about the training ground. We seen that, that it was a separation. We seen that it was preparation. We seen that God is a God of order, not chaos. We seen that God is a God of truth. We seen that whoever God bless, you can't mess with, don't touch him. That you got to be obedient. Make sure you stay faithful, and that we can always depend on God. We don't have to try to do these things ourselves. And even though in this chapter, in this book of Numbers, he's talking to the nation of Israel, we can always apply this to our daily lives today. So I hope you enjoyed this Bible study session. If you have not read the full book of Numbers, make sure you read the full book of Numbers so you can get the context of all the stories. I gave you some context of some stories, but I didn't give you context of everything that happened in Numbers. So make sure you go back and read it if you haven't already read it. And then make sure you go into Joshua, because I believe Joshua is our next book. Yep, Joshua. And Joshua got some juicy stuff going on in there. So we'll be attacking that next week. So I hope you enjoyed this session. This was like an hour-long session. I really wanted to be about 40 to 45 minutes, but man, I kind of got lost in it, and it was a good one. So hope to see y'all next time. Don't forget to spread the word. Send your friends. Tell them to come on through this Bible study. It's an easy Bible study. It's just breaking down the Bible in an easy way, in a beginner's way. Just reading the front to back like always. Not putting our own thoughts into it, but letting the Bible put its truth into us. So I hope to see y'all next Wednesday. As always, come join me on Faith After 5. Love y'all. See y'all next time. Peace.